Good morning, everyone. I'd welcome everyone to take their seats so that we can kick off today's proceedings. So, a formal welcome to the honorable ministers and guests who are here. Thank you for joining us for this second day of the 29th APEC SME Ministerial meeting in beautiful Seattle. Now, yesterday's joint ministerial meeting with a high-level policy dialogue on women and the economy set an incredibly high bar, both because of the inspiring presentations by women entrepreneurs, but also the useful comments from APEC member economies. Yesterday, I was also pleased to see that many of you were able to attend a APEC Digital Month signature event, the MSME Technology and Innovation Showcase. Their participants gained insights from a dynamic range of public and private sector experts on issues and opportunities for MSMEs in fast-growing technology sectors, the ones that are driving global growth. And that brings us to today's session, where we'll be welcoming a few special guest speakers from local Washington state small businesses. They'll illustrate the practical impact of the policy discussions that we'll be having around this table. Warm thanks to each and every business owner for joining us. There is absolutely nothing more precious to a small business owner than time. So we are grateful that these business owners have graciously agreed to participate. So we've organized today's session around the United States' three-pronged policy priorities for its APEC host year. We must maintain interconnectedness between government and small businesses so that we in government can adapt the ways that we serve small businesses as the world evolves and also as priorities change. We must work together to create the enabling environment that fosters innovation and boundary breaking by businesses of all sizes. And finally, bringing small businesses to the table strengthens our efforts to create an inclusive future for all. Together, we can forge pathways to growth for MSMEs, including those that are owned or led by individuals with untapped economic potential, such as women, indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, and those from remote and rural communities. And in the United States, we are also focused on our racial, ethnic, and religious minorities, as well as the LGBTQI+ community. Today's agenda is going to begin with remarks and presentations from the APEC Secretary. Always good to be with you, Dr. Rebecca. The U.S. Senior Official for APEC, Ambassador Murray. The APEC Business Advisory Council. I cannot thank the ABAC enough for the work that they put in to assure that we get meaningful private sector input. And also the chair of the SME Working Group. So here's how today's agenda is going to work. Each agenda item will begin with remarks from a small business guest, followed by a discussion period. Economies that have previously indicated that they'd like to speak will be invited to do so first in alphabetical order by economy. And additional comments and questions are always welcome. As you saw yesterday, I am a pretty strict timekeeper, so I, again, would ask that each economy try to limit your remarks to 3 minutes so that we can hear from everyone. I'm very heartened by the number of economies that have already signed up. We're going to pause for lunch at midday, and I invite everyone here during lunch to join me for an announcement of the winner of the APEC App Challenge. For the past 6 years, the APEC Secretariat, the Asia Foundation, and Google have held a competition among developers to build an app to solve a problem related to the APEC host year priorities. And this year, the APEC App Challenge theme is, how can we help MSMEs and underrepresented communities participate in global digitally enabled trade and the international marketplace. Now, how's that for an easy problem to solve? I'm looking forward to the event, and I'll hope you'll join me to celebrate all of the finalists and to learn about their innovative digital solutions. But as we're kicking off the event, it's obviously too early to be thinking about lunch, so we'll turn back to the matter at hand. And it's time to welcome the Executive Director of the APEC Secretariat. Over to you, Dr. Rebecca.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Undersecretary Marisa Lago, Chair of this year's SME Ministerial Meeting. I also want to shout out to Aaron Saido, the SME Working Group Chair, my good friend Ambassador Matt Murray, and Monica Wally from ABAC. Thank you all very much for being here. And thank you for the opportunity to just share a few ideas with you. APEC has had a long history of supporting MSMEs in our region. Our work began in 1995 through the ad hoc policy level group on SMEs, which was then renamed Small and Medium Enterprises Working Group in the year 2000. We structured and coordinated our support through the framework for SME activities in 1997, the Integrated Plan of Action for SME Development, 1998 to 2002, and 3 iterations of the SME Strategic Plan, the latest of which will see completion in 2024. Both the APEC Policy Support Unit and the APEC Business Advisory Council have undertaken studies to guide policy actions required to help our MSMEs tide over a host of emerging challenges. The APEC Marshall School study reiterated the call for action to enable MSMEs manage what they call the new economy. The study, entitled The New Economy Post-Pandemic Drivers for Growth, calls for pivotal changes in the MSME support agenda. The good news is that the members of the SME Working Group, led by Aaron Shaden at the helm, have been focusing on the areas highlighted in both the PSU and the ABAC Marshall School studies. Key to these are increased cross-forum collaboration, public-private sector collaboration, and working on digital trade facilitation and financial inclusion. So we must commend our U.S. host economy for convening the first ever joint session between the SME ministers and the high-level policy dialogue on women and the economy yesterday. This is long overdue, especially when one considers how the two areas intersect. Yes, we are making strides in our support for MSMEs. Our PSU study found that MSMEs that export grow significantly faster than those that don't. Research indicates that MSMEs in developing economies can increase productivity and innovation by selling abroad. Yet, despite these various initiatives, it appears that there is more to be done to facilitate MSMEs' access and integration into global and supply value chains. In this, I'm happy to share that ABAC has developed an MSME capacity building and supply chain resilience toolkit, which is really useful. I would also like to draw attention to the initiative that involves youth, and Undersecretary Marisa referred to it a while ago. The APEC App Challenge is its 7th year now and is an opportunity for our youth to showcase how digital tools can support MSMEs as they look to expand and grow their business regionally and internationally. On last Saturday, the finalists from 5 economies presented their digital tools, which they hope would make it easier for MSMEs to export. These youth demonstrated what is possible when given the opportunity to use their talents. We will also have the opportunity to view these ideas this afternoon. But as they presented their ideas, it struck me that, although we've done so much, it appears that there is so much more for us to do to make it easier, faster, and cheaper to do business and trade. Granted, policy making is a process, and this body is doing much to move the needle, especially in the key areas of digital trade facilitation and financial inclusion. But what we found is that the lack of data, comparable data among us in the region, makes it a challenge to monitor the progress of MSMEs as they choose to internationalize or digitalize. So in this regard, the MSME Working Group is working with the Policy Support Unit to explore opportunities for data interoperability in APEC, including tapping the potential of big data and digital platforms. I also want to highlight another important aspect of the digital work that we're doing. It is so appropriate that our host this year has conceived of the Digital Pacific Agenda and the Digital Month to enable us to be immersed in the developments and important conversations here in Seattle as we flesh out our work on digital transformation and internationalization of SMEs. An important aspect of digitalization is managing cybersecurity. In this, again, I must congratulate APEC for developing a self-assessment cybersecurity toolkit to help MSMEs. So, Ministers, Excellencies, there's so much on our to-do list, but we can achieve this not only through effective partnerships and cooperation, but as one of the panelists mentioned yesterday, and she put it very simply, she said, "But what more do you need to do? You need to talk to us." And another added, "Listen to us." So it is important for us to continue this engagement with the SMEs themselves and the community and groups. So, but from our part, the Secretariat, please rest assured that we will be, working with you to support you in every way we can. So I congratulate you, Chair, for your leadership, and I thank you all very much.
Dr. Rebecca, your comments are always so sage. What I was struck by yesterday and what I hope that will also pervade today is that economies were talking, but as importantly, we were also listening. And at this point, we'll take a brief pause and ask any members of the press to leave the room.